Chosen one mark this day. June 18th, 2025. God decided, not man, not circumstance, not logic, but God. Himself decided something sacred, specific, and powerful over your life that ties directly to this date. This isn't a random day. This is not just another moment passing through time. This is a supernatural checkpoint etched into the divine storyline of your journey. Some days are created for routine, others are created for revelation. And this one, June 18th, is divine. A date that holds prophetic weight. A date with your name spiritually tied to it. A date that heaven has been waiting to reveal before we go any deeper into this powerful prophetic release. Stay with me until the very end of this video. There's a specific shift happening in the spirit realm, and you are being prepared to receive clarity for what's next. In the comments, write your warmest wishes and type 99 as a declaration that you are ready to align your energy with the manifestation frequency of the universe. This is your time. This is your signal. Heaven has something to release through you. Now, chosen one, like this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And let's begin what makes June 18th, 2025 so important is not just what happens on that day, it's what begins. This date is not just an end point, it's an entrance, a divine portal, an activation of a decision that God made about your life before you ever encountered this season. It's the moment in the timeline where heaven says, now. Maybe it's not a delay, it's a decree. And once heaven decrees a thing, no power on earth can stop it. You've been in a stretch of preparation that felt invisible. You've walked through moments that seemed ignored, skipped, or forgotten by destiny. You've questioned whether your name was really written in the book of divine favor, but something sacred is happening. Now the silence was never absence, it was set up. And now that setup is turning into a signal. You're no longer waiting for the door, you are the door. And June 18th is when it starts to open. Chosen one, you've been walking a path that didn't always make sense. The battles you fought weren't ordinary. The isolation you endured wasn't coincidental. The delay you experienced wasn't denial. It was divine pacing. God has been crafting something so tailored, so precise, so holy, and it is connected to this day. You may not have seen it coming, but heaven saw it all along the calendar you held in your hands. Was never just about weeks and months. It's been holding prophecy. June 18th is a spiritual marker. A moment in the matrix of time where your energy, your destiny, and your alignment begin to synchronize with heaven's decision. You don't need to force it, you just need to recognize it. Heaven is shifting your position. It's not about being in the right place anymore. It's about becoming the right frequency. This is why you've been pulled into silence, why you've been separated, why you felt misunderstood, because God has been fine-tuning your frequency for June 18th. You're not like the rest, you've never been ordinary, but this season proves it. While others chase opportunity, opportunity is about to chase you while others fight to be seen. Heaven is revealing you, not as a trend, not as a flash in the pan, but as a divine appointment that was written in eternity's journal. You are not a mistake. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are selected, and the heavens have confirmed it with a date. The magnitude of what this day represents is beyond comprehension. It's not about one blessing or one door. It's about a chain reaction, a domino of divine events that begin with this trigger. Moment June 18th is not the only day of favor, but it is the first day of new evidence. You're about to witness confirmation after confirmation, proof after proof. You're about to be reminded that the delay wasn't a detour. It was destiny waiting to unfold in full bloom. The reason you've been feeling the weight lately, emotionally, spiritually, even physically, is because your spirit is picking up on the shift shift before your mind can comprehend it. The body feels what the soul already knows. Something is different about this moment. You're not imagining it. You're not being too sensitive. You're not overthinking. The divine has scheduled this shift, and your spirit has been quietly rehearsing for it. You see, God doesn't need to shout when he's about to show. That's why the silence felt deafening, because heaven's next move in your life is not a small whisper. It's a divine display. You are about to become undeniable. What's coming is not hidden. It's heavenly, and you're going to walk into it. Not by force, but by favour. Not by hustle, but by holy hand. June 18th will be marked in heaven as the day the chosen one finally crossed the spiritual threshold, the moment when preparation collided with purpose, the moment when old patterns broke, when old limitations cracked, when the spiritual sky tore open over your life. You are no longer standing on the edge, you are stepping into the epicenter of the miracle. There's something sacred that happens when God marks a day. That mark is not just a reminder, it's a release. When God says, mark this day, he's telling you to watch it, to remember it, to honor it, because he's about to do something that requires your faith and attention. This is not a day to overlook, it's a day to lean into, to listen closely, to open your hands and say, I'm ready. What's coming isn't just going to bless you, it's going to identify you. You're about to be called by a new name. You're about to carry a new energy, a new level of favour, a new level of awareness. The old, you can't survive in what's coming next. The insecurities that once held you hostage are losing their grip. The doubts that haunted you are dissolving. God's decision overrides your inner critic. Heaven's decree breaks earthly fear. You're not waiting for approval anymore. You have divine authorization. The chosen one is being crowned in the invisible first. But what's invisible today will become visible in front of others. Soon, mark that the same way. This day was marked first in spirit, then in substance. That's how the heavens operate, and that's the rhythm of your rise chosen. Don't be surprised if this day doesn't feel normal. Don't be shocked if your spirit feels activated like it's on fire with invisible understanding. That's how divine days feel. They wake something up in you that's been asleep for years. They break something off of you that couldn't be explained before. And this is one of those days, a spiritual breaker. You might not fully understand it yet, but your higher self does. Your purpose knows your future, recognizes this moment as the beginning. It's as if the timeline is folding itself to meet you. Where you are, your past has been leading up to this. Your struggle has been building toward this. The tension has been forming you into the kind of vessel that can hold the glory that's coming, and you will hold it. You will not drop this blessing. You will not miss this miracle. You will not sabotage this season, because now you are awake. Now you are aware. And most importantly, now you are aligned. Something supernatural happens when a day is appointed in heaven. It begins to vibrate with a frequency that calls your name without using words. June 18th, 2025 is not just about a date on a calendar. It's about an energetic contract that God signed with your destiny, a moment when heaven whispered across eternity, this day is theirs. There are no accidents in the way this has aligned. The turbulence you felt leading up to this was just the pressure of heaven pressing into earth. And now something begins. This is where the old season ends in the spirit and the new one begins in manifestation. The shift is subtle but sacred. It won't always appear in fireworks. It may not announce itself with lightning and thunder, but rest assured, the ground beneath your spirit has started to move. The internal earthquake has begun. What you're feeling is spiritual, tectonic plates shifting, and everything that once stood in the way is losing its foundation. God decided that this date would be your divine inflection point. the line in the sand between who you were and who you are becoming. You've been faithful with little, and now the heavens have decided to release more. You've been overlooked, but now heaven says you cannot be missed. You've been praying quietly, even while doubting loudly, and still, God chose to honor this day for you. Don't let fear talk you out of what you've been spiritually qualified for. Fear is loud before a breakthrough. Doubt will scream just before destiny arrives. But don't fold. Don't flinch. The enemy knows that this moment is real. That's why he's been trying to flood you with confusion, because what's coming next will be undeniable. The anointing you carry is maturing, multiplying, and manifesting, and nothing can stop it. Not rejection, not delay, not the voices from your past, not the weight of your history, because heaven made a decision, and heaven doesn't change its mind based on your feelings. Heaven doesn't operate off of doubt. Heaven moves by decree. God didn't ask for your confidence. He initiated the covenant, and that covenant has now reached its marked hour. Chosen one, you've walked through seasons where everything felt uncertain, where your prayers felt like they were floating into silence. But God wasn't ignoring you. He was storing everything. Every tear, every late night, whisper, every act of obedience when no one else was watching. And now that vault of obedience is about to open. You may have felt like you were being delayed, but the truth is, heaven was arranging. Your moment, June 18th, wasn't delayed. It was set. You didn't miss the wave. You are the wave. And when God says move, the universe realigns to your steps. The world doesn't change you. You change the atmosphere. That's why you've been hidden until now, not because you were forgotten, but because heaven was preparing the spotlight, not for your ego, but for your essence. What you're stepping into now requires your full surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means giving up, the kind that means fully showing up. The version of you that's needed for what's ahead is already awakening this new season. Won't respond to old patterns. You cannot shrink into the blessing that's meant to expand you. You must rise, you must stretch, you must allow the unfamiliar to become your foundation. Don't expect everyone to understand what's happening to you. They weren't meant to. This appointment was between you and God, not you and them. And because of that, many won't see the shift until it's already happened. They won't be able to explain your elevation. They'll look for logic but find mystery. They'll try to define it, but end up whispering, there's something different about them, because there will be. You are becoming the proof that divine timing is real. You are becoming the living testimony that, yes, God marks days, and when He does, everything around you begins to cooperate with your calling. Resources will find you. Opportunities will call for you. People you've never met will be stirred to bless you. And not because you begged, but because you were chosen, because heaven made the decision. And that's the kind of favor you don't have. To chase it chases you on June 18th. A window opens, and through that window, a series of events will begin to pour through. Don't expect to catch all of them at once. They will unfold like layers, one after another, piece after piece, and each one will build on the last. What starts as a whisper will become a roar. What starts as a sign will become a wonder. What starts as an open door will become an entire building. And here's the miracle of it all. You won't need to strive for it. You'll only need to step into it. This is a season of stepping, not striving, of aligning, not forcing. What used to take you years will now happen, in moments, not because of speed, but because of spiritual authority. You've gained access to something through obedience that no shortcut could ever grant you. You earned it through surrender. You qualified through pain. You became worthy by walking when no one else believed. So now, It's time to walk with your head high, time to stop apologizing for your anointing, time to embrace the calling without explaining the cost, time to stop waiting for permission from people who never had the power to ordain you. June 18th is your spiritual coronation. You may not see the crown, but heaven does, and you've already been seated in a place that reflects what God has known about you all along. What you've been through wasn't wasted, it was welded. Your pain was forging purpose, your tears were watering territory, your silence was birthing strategy, and now the harvest is here. Don't be surprised if doors open and you don't feel ready. Heaven doesn't schedule release dates based on your comfort. It schedules them based on your preparation, and you've been preparing without even knowing it. This is your moment of realization, a day when everything shifts inwardly first, because that's where true manifestation begins. Not in the bank account, not in the applause, not in the promotion, but in the soul in the moment. You believe it's truly yours. When you believe that God marked this day, not just for a breakthrough, but for you to rise into who you were always meant to be, and you will rise not because of motivation, but because of mandate. This is not optional anymore. The version of you that the world needs cannot stay in hiding. You weren't born for smallness. You were born for sacredness, and that sacredness is ready to be seen. Chosen one, your steps are now ordered differently. Your alignment is active. The codes of favor, visibility, and abundance have already begun to unlock. Don't second guess it, just follow the divine nudges. Trust the unusual urges. Go where peace leads, and remember, when God marks a day, it's not just for one moment. It's for the memory of who you were and who you will never be. Again, something is breaking loose. Not on the outside yet, but inside of you, there's a cracking of the shell that was built from years of playing small. Staying quiet, doubting your value, and dimming your light, that shell no longer fits the weight of the calling that is upon you. June 18th, 2025 was divinely selected to crack the code you've been carrying. In silence, the spiritual lock has turned, and something ancient inside you has awakened. This is not about ego. This is about essence. You didn't ask for this. You were chosen for it. You didn't plan this shift. It was written into your divine contract before you were even born. This is not the result of hustle strategy or competition. It's the outcome of alignment, obedience, and sacred timing. You are not here by luck. You're here because God made a decision, and that decision is now active. You may have noticed how strange everything felt right before this date, as if you were living in two timelines at once. One foot in the past, still haunted by what didn't work, and one foot stretching toward a future you couldn't quite describe, but knew was calling you that. Tension. It was a sign, a prelude to the shift, because when a date has been marked in heaven, your spirit begins to feel the pull before your circumstances ever show it. Now the shift is here, not coming, not eventually, not someday, it's here. The atmosphere around you is no longer neutral. It's here, charged, it's coded with unseen instructions. That's why your spirit feels more alert. That's why your discernment is sharper. That's why people you used to feel comfortable with now feel foreign, because your energy has changed. You've crossed a threshold and the elevation is irreversible. You can't go back even if you tried. This day is sacred because it contains keys, not physical ones, but spiritual ones. Keys that will unlock understanding, provision, clarity, and visibility. Keys that will lead you into conversations you never could have arranged yourself. Keys that will swing open the kind of doors that don't require resumes, only readiness. Keys that bypass politics, credentials, and systems, because God decided that favor would be your new filter. But these keys are only usable at your new level. And this is why June 18th matters so much. It's the first day of your new level. You won't even recognize how far you've come until you begin to walk through doors that once intimidated you, and now they'll feel like they were custom built for you. This day signals an energy of reversal. What was stuck will now move. What was delayed will now flow. What was hidden will now be seen. What was small will now be multiplied. There's a reversal of trajectory happening. And it's not just about your surroundings, it's about your self-perception. You're going to begin seeing yourself the way God always has not. As someone hoping to be enough, but as someone already infused with divine design. The battles you faced weren't just for survival, they were initiation. Every attack on your worth, your voice, your mind, it was meant to shake you loose from old limitations, to force you into deeper reliance, to pressure you into discovering your hidden power. And now that power is being activated, you're walking into divine momentum. Not man-made movement. Divine momentum is when you take one step, and heaven adds 10 behind it. It's when you obey one small instruction and watch God orchestrate something massive. It's when you say yes to something that scares you and find yourself standing in spaces that once felt impossible. That's what June 18th is doing. It's not just giving you a new chapter. It's giving you a new frequency, a new voice, a new confidence, a new stride. And it's not the kind that needs to shout to be heard. It's the kind that changes atmospheres just by being present. You're not walking into rooms to be accepted anymore. You're walking into them to shift the environment. The power is different now. You'll begin to notice divine disruptions. Places you used to go will feel strange conversations. You used to entertain will feel draining. That's not a sign you're ungrateful. It's a sign you've outgrown the old when a marked day arrives. Everything that no longer fits your calling begins to fall away. Let it. Don't mourn the misalignment. Celebrate the upgrade. People may start falling off, not because they're bad, but because they weren't scheduled to go with you to this level. This is a sacred elevation, and it requires lighter baggage. You cannot take everyone with you. Don't carry guilt for that, the same way your destiny has arrived. Theirs will too, but it won't happen on your timeline. Trust that and keep moving forward. June 18th, 2025 is also a day of remembrance, not of pain, but of purpose. You're going to look back and realize that every detour was actually divine design, that every closed door was divine protection, that every unanswered prayer was a yes to something better. Your story is not random, it's revelation wrapped in mystery. And now the mystery is unfolding. You're going to feel heaven's confirmation in subtle yet overwhelming ways. A stranger may speak life into you. A message will land in your spirit with fire. A dream you've forgotten will come alive again. These are the divine breadcrumbs. These are the signals. Follow them. They will lead you to what God has been orchestrating behind the scenes. You're going to start remembering who you really are, not who trauma shapes, not who fear contained, not who failure tried to define, but the real you, the divine, original, the powerful chosen version of you that was marked for influence, impact, and elevation. And you won't have to prove anything. You don't need to explain your breakthrough. You don't need to convince people of your new season. It will speak for itself when heaven marks a day. It leaves no room for debate. Those who doubted will witness, those who whispered will watch. And those who counted you out will have no choice but to count the blessings flowing in the ones who saw your pain. Will now see your power, and you won't have to say a word. June 18th is not about showing off. It's about showing up as your fullest self, as your highest vibration, as the vessel you were always meant to become. It's a call to authenticity, to stop hiding your light just because others are still adjusting their vision. You're not stepping into arrogance. You're stepping into awareness. You're not becoming prideful. You're becoming powerful. And that power comes from source, not self. You'll begin to notice that things feel easier, not because the challenge is gone, but because Your internal state has shifted. You'll begin to flow in purpose, and things that used to take all your energy will begin to respond to your presence. You'll speak differently, walk differently, think differently, and it won't be forced. It'll be familiar, like returning home to a version of you always knew existed. This day is also a protection. Marking a day isn't just about open doors, it's about divine covering from this moment forward. You're going to be covered in a way that can't be explained, protected in conversations you never hear, guarded in spaces you never enter, delivered from attacks that never reach you. Because heaven is not just pushing you forward, it's shielding you while you rise. And the rise is happening quietly, boldly, steadily, unstoppably. You may not realize it yet. But everything around you is beginning to rearrange itself in your favor, not because of coincidence, but because God's decision was final. When he marked this day, he also marked a shift in the way heaven would respond to you. June 18th, 2025, wasn't just a random highlight in your future, it was a written entry in the book of becoming. And now you are becoming. All that was delayed, all that was hidden, all that was silence chosen one, don't underestimate the power of momentum. Born from divine timing. This isn't just an emotional high or motivational hype. This is encoded into your timeline. This is the point where prophecy meets manifestation, where your name starts echoing into places your feet haven't even stepped into. Yet, that's how real this is. Your name has been whispered in rooms you never asked to enter. Doors are being prepared that don't respond to qualifications, only to God's appointment. This is not the season where you strive to prove. This is the season where you allow God to showcase. You will not have to scream for attention. You will not have to beg to be noticed. You will not have to force anything to work. Divine ease is now being assigned to your steps. The stress you used to associate with pushing your life forward is being dissolved from this point on. You'll be led by grace, not grind, carried by favor, not fear. Let that sink in. You don't have to prove that you're worthy of the blessing. God already confirmed that you are. You don't have to perform for people who don't even understand the depth of your calling. You don't have to convince them to believe in you, because this time your fruit will speak. This time your results will announce what your spirit has known all along. You are called, you are crowned, and you are covered. What's about to unfold in your life will be beyond explanation. And that's why this day is so important, because you'll need an anchor when the blessings start flowing, when the opportunities start stacking, when the miracles start multiplying. You'll need a moment to return to and say, this is when it shifted. June 18th will become your proof that God operates in divine timing, that heaven has a calendar, and you are on it. Don't be surprised. When what once rejected you now pursues you, don't be shocked. When the very places you were denied access to now call you in with open arms, this is part of the reversal. You'll begin to feel like everything that was running from you is now running toward you. Because you were never without favor. It was just being stored for the appointed time. And now the vault has opened, the vault of visibility, the vault of wealth, the vault of divine partnership, the vault of health, insight and clarity, all of it tied to a moment God decided was yours. You've crossed over not just into a new day, but into a new dimension, where you're not reacting to life anymore. You're responding to divine rhythm, and the rhythm is real. It will guide you away from what is no longer for you. Even if it feels familiar, even if it once comforted you, even if it seems like a loss. The rhythm of God doesn't keep you stuck in what used to make sense. It pulls you into what makes destiny unfold. So don't resist what's leaving if it's shifting away from you. After this day, let it go. Don't cling to what heaven is clearly releasing. It's not personal, it's prophetic. There will be days ahead when you'll be tempted to revert, to fall back into old ways of thinking, to accept less than you were born for, to doubt what you felt so strongly on this day. But remember this, you are no longer in survival mode. You are in receiving mode, and the enemy can't reverse. A day that God has already marked. The battle is no longer about whether it will happen. The only battle now is whether you'll believe it enough to walk like it's already yours. So walk like your name has been cleared. Walk like your voice has power. Walk like your past has no grip. Walk like your future has already been established in heaven. Walk like your steps are being guided. Walk like the weight you once carried has finally lifted, because it has. You'll begin to attract differently, and not because you've changed your appearance, but because you've shifted your atmosphere. People who once ignored you will begin to notice. Not because you're louder, but because your presence has become undeniable. That's what happens when a person steps into their divine appointment. Everything changes. This is the point where you stop seeking approval and start operating from authority. The authority of knowing you've been assigned by something bigger than yourself. You don't have to fit in anymore. You're not a copy, you're an original, and originals don't chase. They create. You are creating a new standard, a new energy, a new space for others to believe that the chosen ones are real and rising. June 18th is a holy stamp, a confirmation of identity. It is heaven's way of saying, you're not who you used to be, and you never will be. Again, that version of you that always felt behind that version, that kept second-guessing that version, that tried to shrink to keep the peace. It's being retired today. This is the day where identity shifts and authenticity rises. There's no turning back. Now the shift has already taken place. Even if you feel the same externally, the internal gears of destiny have moved forward, and everything else in your life must catch up. That's why it may feel chaotic for a moment. That's why certain things may suddenly unravel, because the old was never built to support the new version of you. You are being reintroduced to yourself and to the world. People will start saying something's different about you, and they won't be wrong. Your spiritual DNA has been updated. You're operating under a new mantle, a new assignment. And it's heavy with glory, heavy with responsibility, but light with peace. You are not just chosen for blessing. You are chosen for impact. And this is the beginning of that impact, multiplying. Let June 18th be more than a celebration. Let it be your confirmation that what you've carried in silence is now valid, that the internal war wasn't for nothing, that the dry seasons had purpose, that the wilderness made you wise, and now you are emerging with clarity, courage, and calling, the kind of clarity that makes you walk away from what you once begged, for the kind of courage that makes you try what scared you for years, the kind of calling that no longer waits for validation. It walks with authority. This is your walk now. Your path is no longer about proving your worth. It's about revealing what heaven already approved, and everything in your spirit will begin to align with that truth.